Hi everyone, we are here with our Saturday Sofa Share again, and today we want to have a chat about valuations and pricing, or prices, whichever way. I think it's more pricing and getting that pricing right, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, the majority of clients we tend to find in the run-up to thinking of selling, there'll be quite a long period. They'll be thinking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months plus about when they want to move. Where can people find an idea, Andrew, of what their property's worth? Where, if they're where are they going to get research from?
So the obvious thing probably would be to pop onto one of the property portals, search your postcode and maybe a small radius around it, look at what your neighbours are asking or perhaps recently sold for. You can look at sold price data as well on all the websites as well, Rightmove, Zoopla, net house prices, etc. So you can get a good feel for it. I think most vendors have got a good idea as to what they think their property's worth.
Yeah.
Of course, that's where we come in.
So that's it really in a nutshell. There's a lot of information to your fingertips nowadays. I mean, from when I started 23 years ago and when you started 33 years ago, it really was down to the agent to provide the price. But this is a relationship that we want to get going from day one. So do have a look around on Rightmove. More importantly though, Andrew, what about our instant online valuation?
Absolutely, yes. So the instant online valuation, very, very simple to use. Generate your own valuation within 60 seconds. Again, it does use algorithms, so it's not a person behind giving you that valuation. That's where Roy and I come into. But it does give you a flavour, a guide as to what your property's worth. So it's a fantastic tool. It takes literally seconds to do that.
So it's kind of a good starting point, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think sort of gets the ball rolling. You should never be charged for an estate agent's valuation. I don't think that goes on anymore.
I don't think so. Not necessarily needing a proper RICS valuation for a survey, then of course yes you would pay that. But a market appraisal valuation, estate agent guide, then no one charges for that.
See, that's interesting. You use a different phrase there. So a lot of people will just refer to it as a valuation very simply. Previous company I worked in was a free market appraisal or market appraisal. So that's what we're doing really, is appraising your property to feel what we should be marketing the property for to get the right interest and then negotiate a price that works for you and also your buyer, a bit of devil's advocate. So pricing wise, Andrew, when we go out, what are we using? How do we value the property?
So we also would use comparable evidence, again using various tools that agents have access to. We've got a superb service that we use, or a provider that we use, sorry, called Sprift, which gives a superb comparable report, not only for sold price data, but all available on market properties in your vicinity, under offer, recently sold, etc. So we can draw in an awful lot of information behind our laptops before we come to see you. We can use an agent's professional access into Rightmove, which gives us guidance on Rightmove Plus. So yeah, there's lots of information. Of course, what we haven't done up to the point of seeing the property is seeing what's inside it. So of course we then step into our own in terms of the condition of the property, whether you've got the latest kitchens, bathrooms, whether it's dated, and of course we can adjust and reflect the price in terms of the evidence we've used to give you hopefully the most accurate pricing in your property.
And I think that's it, it's experience, isn't it? I think that's what's going to really ascertain where the property is going to fall in the marketplace within the price range. And sort of have an understanding of what the buyers are going to be looking for from feedback that we've had on numerous properties for numerous years between us all. Let's talk about the actual price itself. How can you market? What sort of options have we got to go to market with a price, sort of offers, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so you can do a fixed asking price. For example, if your property was worth 300,000, we'd market it at straight £300,000. You can do an offers in excess of price. If we're confident perhaps that the figure we're suggesting might be a minimum that you ought to consider, then we'd invite applicants to make an offer in excess of your guide price. You can do a range price as well, that's a from and a to. Just be careful on this one that the opening price that the agent's suggesting is a price that you guys ultimately would consider accepting. So again, if you're going to do a range, we perhaps would suggest 3 to 320, offers over 300, an asking price of 300, offers in the region of, perhaps we felt that maybe 300 was the most we might get, and opening the door to allowing a little bit of scope for negotiation. So there's several methods, but again, we're probably best to guide you, and of course we'll take your thoughts into consideration as well.
So that's it. It's a joint relationship, isn't it? We're going to be giving our professional opinion and experience, and there's a lot of experience there. Obviously, we've got a benefit if we're going to achieve you a much higher price, because a lot of time agents will work on a percentage of the sale fee with no upfront cost as well, which is always a bonus. So we are going to be working hard to get the price, but it's also about, it's more, again, I keep reflecting it, you might be on the market for say 4 weeks and you've tested at a price, and I think that a lot of people are willing to do that, to give it a go, see what they can get. But when we say, we don't sort of call it reducing your price, we call it sort of what, adjusting the market price really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Benefit of changing the price if needed.
Changing the price if you hit a new price point. So again, lots of people do use the property portals to search, and when you search, you can only search by a price in terms of incremental value. So again, using the 300 as example, if it was first tested for 4, 6, 8 weeks, however long we felt necessary to have fully tested the price, as Roy says, if it doesn't work out, perhaps by a price adjustment or a price point, then bring it down to the next level, which will be 290, because they do go in increments of 10,000 at that level. That could make a big difference, because it would then attract a new audience who perhaps hadn't seen it at 300, and then it's now fallen into that price range.
Well, also you can look at the Google scenario as well, don't you? So I think you hitting the point there at 300. So you've got 280, 290, 300, then it goes 325, 350, 370. So the jumps are getting bigger. And I think, would I be right if you were thinking a price around 310, 315, sometimes you're better off testing initially at the 325 maybe. Obviously you're only going to value it for what it's worth, but everyone's got a bit of flexibility. We're in a very buoyant market at the moment, aren't we? So again, we'll guide you, we'll point out the strategy, and I think that's a good sort of thing to have in place. An agreement between us, this is what we're going to do for the first X number of weeks, this is where we feel you will end up, I suppose incomparable to similar properties that we've sold or other agents have sold in and around the area. And I think that's kind of a really good closing point here. If you pitch too high, you're going to sit and go stale, aren't you?
Definitely, and you may end up only chasing the market down, as we call it. So we can give you our guidance. Hopefully we are accurate. I think we are anyway, in terms of price. If you perhaps wanted to try another price point, first of all, then yeah, just be mindful you don't want to be on too long. Stale, perhaps if it's on the market for that level at three months or so, way too long without maybe an adjustment in price. Your agent, and certainly we will be all over that. The other downside could be if the market does change and starts to slip away or reduce slightly, if you're at a higher level and then adjust down a price point, the market may have already fallen a little bit further. So you don't want to be chasing the market down, as we call it. So pricing is vitally important.
And I think also we make sure that even if you haven't found the property, we'll control your buyer. So it's not a case of put it on too high, just to see what's happening and try to hang around for a while, but it's more about just making sure that we're getting the right price with the right buy in the right time frame. And I suppose really the real final point, and the most important, I suppose really the most important point, irrelevant of what you want, irrelevant of what the buyer will pay, the majority of the time it's going to come down to what the mortgage lender will provide or lend the amount of the loan, and that's dictated by surveyors.
Yeah, again, they will use comparable evidence, and if they can't support the price that's been offered by the buyer, even though it's an agreeable price to you and to the buyer, then you may well come up against maybe a slight down valuation, which could end up in a renegotiation on the price as well.
So it's all about get the price right, understanding where the price is coming from, ensuring that your agent or us, for example, we're liaising with you, and sort of letting you know what the feedback is, what reaction you're getting on Rightmove, how you're performing with all our social media marketing, because that's important as well, isn't it?
Definitely.
And sort of seeing where all the leads are coming from. So don't waste the time, don't panic, no one's going to put you under pressure, you're not going to be sort of gun against your head and you've got to move out of the house, but the price is the most important thing, getting it right from day one. Yes, you can test, and I've mentioned that already, but if you go too far, and I think like Andrew said, quite often that can have a negative reaction. If the market's turning, you can be chasing the market down and never really catch it up. But also the perception from a buyer or potential buyers could be, what's wrong with it?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it from us today. My name's Roy, and I'm joined faithfully by
Andrew.
Again on the Saturday, as always. So join us next week, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye.